Hey guys, Greg and I are back. We're breaking down the season finale of Star Trek Picard, and as you can see, things are a little different. We're working from home.
Yes, but of course, spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back. Now let's do this. Let's break down episode 10.
All right, let's jump into the recap. So first we start off with Narek sneaking his way back onto the artifact. He thinks he's very, very sneaky. And then he finds Narissa, who's been in hiding, and she finds him. And in a rare, sweet sibling moment that we've never seen, she embraces him. That was cute. He reports that all the synths are on the planet and he's killed one, which is referring to Saga's death from episode 9.
Yes, and they also share a moment about their family and being outcast, especially Narek, which makes me wonder if this is going to be something that goes into season 2 with his character and like a Worf way, because it seems like he's had a falling out with not just the Tal Shiar, but just with the Romulans themselves. So I wonder if that's going to be explored season 2 with Narek.
Yeah, he really wants to prove himself, and that's why he's like, I found the destroyer, I'm gonna do this, like, you stay here, you fix everything. So he's very determined.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna try to tie in Nero somehow. I know they're not Nero's kids yet, unless they change that somehow in the script for season 2.
Dr. Alton Inigo Sung, mad scientist. My father had me, but he created Data.
I feel like they're gonna tie up this family somehow, some way to Star Trek 2009.
I do not speak for the Empire. We stand apart.
And back on Coppelius Station, we see Picard under house arrest, and there's like a butterfly that floats in. And then I love that line he gives right after the butterfly flies off.
Lucky you.
So that's a bit of foreshadowing for what's to come at the end of the episode. And also, I've been playing way too much Animal Crossing because I was like, that is an emperor butterfly and I'm going to catch it and I'm going to sell it. Soji goes to check on Picard, and Agnes spies on her to see that the door is open with a retinal scan. So we know she's totally gonna steal an eye and try to get in there, right? It's like one of two things. You either steal an eye or knock someone out and you lift their whole body to scan the eye.
It would have been awkward for her to knock out soon and try to put him up there, so yeah, I understand.
That'd be pretty funny, though. Then Soji urges Picard to see things from the synth's point of view.
You choose if we live. You choose if we die. You choose. We have no choice.
So Picard urges Soji to stop building the beacon at all costs. He's trying to get her not to become what the Romulans consider her to be, which is this monster, the Destroyer. Now, Soji's turn here, did it seem a little sudden to you?
Yeah, didn't she think she was an organic until very recently? Also she's 3, so I guess she's learning,
yes.
But she's very impressionable, but still, she thought she was organic. And then all of a sudden she's just like, you organics this.
Data has had moments like this, just like we're seeing with Soji. They're just trying to mirror the two. Data did the same thing in Descent, where he joined his brother as well. Granted, that had to do with his emotions chip.
The sons of Sung have joined together. And together, we will destroy the Federation.
So in Narissa's hiding place on the artifact, Narek is gathering a bunch of grenades, which he claims he's going to be using on the Orchids. Narek tells Narissa to stay behind on the cube to bring the weapon system online. Then he leaves the cube, but with Elnor following behind.
On La Sirena, Rios and Raffi decide to use the mysterious tool Raffi got from Saga to try to fix the ship. In episode 9, Saga told Raffi that the tool fixes things, and that you just have to use your imagination. Of course, Rios is skeptical, but gives it a try, and it works and brings power back to the ship.
What's happening?
Nothing that makes any sense.
All right, the worst thing of this episode, I'm going to say right off the bat, is that special tool. This
tool?
Magic wand. It's like a...
Deus Ex Machina in tool form?
Yes. It's the sonic screwdriver for Star Trek.
Yes. And do they get to keep this thing? Is it going to be in season 2? Like,
No.
what are the limitations?
No.
There are no rules around this.
No, this tool is
It's
going
gonna
to
break.
somehow wind up missing for season 2. I don't think you're going to see this thing again. Because honestly, at the end of the day, you could look at that tool and say, they could have just conjured up a bunch of starships themselves and had those fire if they had enough time. I mean, back on the planet.
That's why I'm saying, what are the limitations?
Yeah.
If you could just use your imagination. There's gotta be a limit. It's like, it gets 3 uses, then poof, like it disappears. Meanwhile, Alton soon gives Agnes access to Maddox's work on the downloading of consciousness into a synthetic body. Alton remarks that Agnes is making a remarkable act of self-sacrifice by helping the synths, but says,
I suppose that's what mothers do, isn't it?
As he leaves, Agnes is quietly freaking out and psyching herself up to do something again, as we've seen her do before.
I'm not their mother, asshole.
Back on La Sirena, Narek shows up and suggests to Rios and Raffi that they work together to stop what's coming for them and save the universe. Narek tells them that the synths are signaling something to come here and fills them in on the Romulans' belief that the synthetics are fated to destroy all organic life. Comms are jammed and Raffi can't get a hold of Picard. Then Elnor appears and threatens Narek. Rios tells him to hold on and hear him out.
At Coppelius Station, Alton is trying to transfer Saga's memories into a V module as a memento for her twin Arcana. Agnes interrupts him and asks for help with encrypted files in order to distract him while she steals Saga's eye to break Picard out. Narek tells the crew details about Gamma Dawn, which Rios likens to Ragnarok or Judgment Day. The story tells of twin sister demons who summon and unleash even worse demons. One sister dies and the other sister is the destroyer. The sky will crack, and through the crack the demons will come and they will feast and worlds will burn. Narek believes this ancient myth is actually history.
And the fascinating thing about history is it always repeats itself.
Narek shows the La Sirena crew his molecular solvent grenades, which he now wants to use on the transmitter. He suggests just walking up to the front door, with the crew returning him as a prisoner. They conceal the grenade in Rios' soccer ball, and meanwhile, Agnes breaks into Picard's room using Saga's eye to help him escape. She tells him they have to hurry and that the beacon is about to be powered up, and that her plan is to make a run for it to La Sirena.
I'm busting you out.
Nearby, Alton is working on the golem, and the synthetic matrix is complete. It's ready to receive neural engrams. At the same time, Saga's memory restoration is complete, which reveals to Alton that Sutra killed Saga. The crew and Narek sneak closer to the beacon, and Alton shows up to assist as they're trying to find out how to get up to the beacon. Agnes and Picard make it back to La Sirena and check in with the status of the Romulans, who are 7 minutes from planetfall. There's no sign of Starfleet, so Picard says they need to stall the Romulans somehow and hope that the Federation arrives. Agnes reminds him that they need to worry about the synths too, who are still going to summon the Uber synths. And note that while she's talking, she's playing with that magic tool again, so you know it's gonna come into play. Picard says that the synths are children who've been taught by a couple of hermits and the fear of extermination, which leads us to a classic Picard speech-giving moment.
Yes, they have life, but no one is teaching them what it's for. To be alive is a responsibility, as well as a right.
Picard sits down to pilot the ship and says he'll teach the synths by example, and they take off to face the Romulans. And at the beacon, the synths are all gathered in front of Sutra and Soji, as they wait for the beacon to reach full capacity to begin transmitting. Once the signal is received, a portal will open and their so-called liberators will appear nearly instantaneously. Alton walks the crew up to the group of synths and tells the guards to watch them as he goes to talk to Sutra privately. He's disappointed that she killed her sister, and he knocks her out.
Turns out, you know better than we are.
Then gives Raffi the cue to start their plan.
In space above Coppelius, Agnes asks how they're going to hold off 218 warbirds. Picard is more concerned with piloting for the first time in a long time without exploding. The synths stop Narek and hold him down, and he pleads with Soji to stop the beacon. Rios releases the grenade, but Soji catches it and throws it into the sky to explode, then continues working on the beacon. Back on the artifact, Narissa is at work on the weapon systems when Seven finds her and points a phaser at her. They fight, Narissa does an unnecessary roll over the weapons console, and then she taunts Seven and asks why she didn't just shoot herself to get it over with. To which Seven just "This is Sparta" kicks Narissa to her death into the abyss, and she's just gone.
This is for you.
Meanwhile, the Romulan warbirds appear above Coppelius. General O commands them to sterilize the entire planet. Soji releases the orchids, which gives Picard some time as the first line of warbirds attack. And in the midst of the battle, Agnes jokes about the Picard maneuver before realizing that's an actual move.
If you figure out a way to get us out of this one, I'll name it after you. Picard maneuver.
In 2355, during a battle with a Ferengi vessel at Maxia while commanding the Stargazer, Picard used a short-range jump to briefly make it appear to the attacking ship that the Stargazer was in 2 locations at once. The Ferengi ship fired at the false Stargazer, which gave Picard enough time to shoot back and destroy the enemy.
This leads Agnes to use Saga's gift to pull off a similar situation with the Romulan fleet in front of them. The La Sirena will try to overwhelm the Romulans' radar system by generating multiple ships with warp signatures. Before they use the device, Picard pleads with Soji one last time to power down the beacon. Picard is going to give his life for Soji and her people.
As the Romulans prepare to fire on the planet, Agnes and Picard set off their plan with Saga's tool and generate hundreds of Sirena ships. The Romulans then engage the ships and manage to hit the real La Sirena. Meanwhile, Soji activates the beacon.
And just before the Romulans can finally attack the planet, Starfleet arrives led by Will Riker as acting captain of the flagship Zheng He. The Federation has designated the planet Goulion 4 under the protection of Starfleet. He cites the Treaty of Algernon, and Picard wants to open diplomatic negotiations for the protections of the inhabitants of the planet. Riker gives O one last chance to stand down before they engage.
Nothing would make me happier than you giving me an excuse to kick your treacherous Talsiar ass.
Now this was my favorite moment. It got me. It's low-hanging fruit, but I ate it up. I loved it. I love seeing Riker in the captain's chair.
It looks like there's no Enterprise as the flagship anymore, so the Zheng He, I want to know everything about this ship.
I gotta hear Riker again. Play that clip one more time.
Nothing would make me happier than you giving me an excuse to kick your treacherous Talsiar ass.
General O is unfazed and is preparing for battle. Meanwhile, Picard is in a lot of pain and opens a channel with Soji to plead to her to shut down the beacon one last time. He implores her to use her better nature and trust her to make the right choice.
I trust you, Soji. I know you. I believe in you.
Just before the new synthetic threat could emerge from the portal opened by the beacon, Soji smashes the control panel, destroying the beacon, and the Romulans finally stand down. Picard and Riker share a brief moment, and Jean-Luc thanks him for everything he's done.
Riker out.
Adieu.
Man, I'm really glad that they had this moment, but they had no idea, like, the significance of what that moment was. Afterwards, Picard has visions of his chateau and his dreams with Data before he collapses. His brain abnormality is killing him. Soji immediately drops the transporter block and beams Picard and Agnes down to the planet, where he gives final goodbyes to the team before he passes. I still cannot believe that this happened. I still cannot believe that they did this.
It's
crazy.
Once he passed out and he was gone, I thought, okay, here comes Q any second. I just, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, here comes Q to say, oh, this isn't actually, you're fine.
I told you, you're dead. This is the afterlife. And I'm God.
Later on, Rios and Seven share a drink together and reflect on their past missions and Rios' favorite subject, death.
Next, Picard wakes up in what he imagines is a giant dream, but Data enters and quickly tells him that he is in fact dead and in a massive quantum simulation. We learn that Data's consciousness exists in a quantum reconstruction made from a copy of the memories he downloaded into B4 back in Nemesis in 2379. His memories were extracted from a single neuron by Bruce Maddox, and his consciousness was reconstructed by his brother Alton. The two share a heartfelt moment and have no regrets for sacrificing their lives for the greater good, and Picard is finally able to tell Data that he loves him. Oh, this was really sweet. They've both had such a history with not being able to express emotions, and now finally they tell each other that they love each other. It was beautiful.
Data tells Picard that before his brain function shut down, soon Agnes and Soji were able to create a neural image of Jean-Luc's brain substrates. And before Picard leaves the simulation, Data asks Picard to terminate his consciousness. He wants mortality.
Butterfly that lives forever. It's really not a butterfly at all.
Picard agrees and bids Data goodbye one last time. Picard wakes up in Soong's lab, and the first thing he sees is Soji, Agnes, and of course Alton Soong. Over some Earl Grey tea, Picard learns that his new body has no augmentations and the brain abnormality is gone. Agnes says they designed the algorithm that will give him more or less the same life expectancy that he would have gotten without the brain abnormality.
Next, Picard keeps his promise to Data and terminates his consciousness. This got me. This was my favorite part of the episode. The whole Data sequence I thought was really beautifully done. Granted, I hated the fact that they actually killed Data off here, but this is a great send-off for Data and that character. You can't keep Data around. Brent Spiner's getting older. They found a way to keep Brent Spiner on the show while also sending Data off with a great goodbye. This was awesome.
And our little life is rounded with a sleep.
And back on La Sirena, the whole gang's back together and are preparing to leave Coppelius. So not only are Agnes and Rios item, which is a little weird because Agnes probably should be in at least having a trial right now for the death of Bruce Maddox or something.
Killed a guy.
Yes, she murdered someone, and I guess they're just gonna. It's all good.
For this.
But we also see that, again, Seven and now Rafi are a thing. I hope this whole storyline doesn't play out just in a comic book, and by the time we get to season 2, Rafi and Seven have broken up and they're going their own separate ways, and Seven's not on the ship.
Please don't do that. It seems Soji wants to join Picard in exploring the galaxy now that the synth ban has been lifted by Starfleet. And finally, it looks like the team is ready for a new adventure with Admiral Picard, and the season ends with Picard giving the iconic order.
Engage!
Now onto things we noticed and Easter eggs. We've gotten a few hints at the family life of Narek and Narissa throughout the course of the first season, including that the siblings are related to Ramda, the Romulan ex-Borg who Soji worked with briefly on the artifact. A quick line in episode 10 reveals that the pair also had parents who believed in the Jatvash philosophy too, and apparently died for it. There aren't more details than that, but it's useful to know just how deep the devotion of these two Tal Shiar spies actually goes.
Across the last 10 episodes, Star Trek Picard hasn't missed an opportunity to call up Jean-Luc's classic well-known phrases. And aboard La Sirena, it's Agnes who does the honors this time, telling Picard to make it so.
Make it so.
7 of 9 gets her chance to confront Narissa aboard the crashed artifact, but Narissa can't pass up the opportunity to needle 7 about her past. She calls her Queen Annika, referencing 7's brief stint in control of the artifact, and notes that Annika was assimilated when she was a mere 6 years old. Annika's parents were researchers who studied the Borg until they were discovered by the Collective and assimilated.
Riker brings a huge Federation fleet to take on the Romulans, but he doesn't kick off a war. Instead, he cites the Treaty of Alderaan, the peace treaty that ended the war between the Federation and Romulus more than 100 years ago. It's the treaty that originally created the neutral zone between the Romulan Star Empire and the Federation, and if the Romulans violate it, it will mean war with the Federation once again.
Data spent his life hoping to become more human. When he meets Picard one last time, Data asks for one last thing to make himself more human: mortality. He explains that mortality is a huge part of what makes human experiences a powerful part of life. Data spent most of his life expecting that he might live for a very long time, possibly forever. When he's finally faced with death, like many humans, he finds meaning in it.
I want to live, however briefly, knowing that my life is finite.
The first episode of Star Trek Picard opened with the song Blue Skies, a callback to the song Data sang at Riker and Deanna Troy's wedding in Star Trek Nemesis. Data plays the song one last time in his simulated world before the end.
As we scan through La Sirena in the final moments of the episode, we get a look at all of Picard's new crew. As the camera pans over 7 of 9, we see her with what looks like a pile of pieces of metal. That's actually a Vulcan game of strategy called Cal-To, which 7 used to play with Commander Tuvok on Voyager. Tuvok used to play the game with Ensign Harry Kim, who never was able to beat him, but the first time 7 tried it, she beat Tuvok in one move.
I don't like this game.
In the final moments before shutting down Data's simulation, Picard quotes Shakespeare.
We are such stuff as dreams are made of.
This is a line from The Tempest, a play Data performed with Picard during their time on the Enterprise in order to understand more about humanity.
You see, Shakespeare enjoyed mixing opposites. The past and the future, hope and despair.
That's it for us over here, everybody. Now, let us know what you thought of this episode in the comment section down below, and we'll be back here next week for our full review of Picard Season 1.
Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.